I don't know if you've noticed lately, but if you go into any store and look at the physical video game section, there's almost nothing there. And I suppose you could say, well, they just didn't stock the shelves when I was there. But if you look at the digital cards to buy video games, they're always completely in stock. And that's because, I hate to be the one to say it or make this video, physical games, folks, aren't just dying, they're dead. And I know what you're saying, well, I have a physical game collection behind me and I just wait and I get special editions and blah, blah, blah. I get that. But before the internet or YouTube gaming was a thing, I was that guy who had these walls of games behind him, loved collecting things. I had walls of Star Wars figures, everything you can possibly imagine. And before it became fashionable to even think about the idea of digital distribution or having a digital collection, if you were, I got to the point where I realized that having all of these things on shelves really didn't serve me any purpose other than this weird sort of nostalgia that I was trying to physically hang on to, as opposed to just remembering all of the great experiences that I had. So a long time ago, I decided it's time to get rid of all of this stuff because, I had hundreds of games that I wasn't even playing anymore. They were just sitting there and I take them off the shelf and stare at them and say, ooh, I remember buying this. Oh, I remember the midnight launch. I remember this. I remember that. But I'm not losing the memory by not having that physical product. I still have that and I still have the experience of playing the game. And I know where you're going to go with this. I know you're going to say, well, there's something about game preservation and we have to worry about playing games 20 or 30 years from now. And what happens if I can't play this game that I purchased in 2023 in 2078? Well, folks, at some point you've got to realize that none of this stuff is going to matter. And the shortest distance between 2 points is always a straight line. And human beings are always going to skew towards what's convenient, what's just good enough, as opposed to actually maybe what is actually good for us. And you cannot fight City Hall. Digital distribution is here. It is taking over. It has taken over. I think physical games are going to be like records. You see some people screaming that records are coming back. I have family members who love collecting records, and they tell me, well, records rose by 10%. Well, what was it before it rose? 1%? That's not really a big market, and it's never going to be a big market anymore. Digital distribution, when it first started, I remember back on the Xbox 360, and I thought to myself, wait, I can just press a button and the game will just be delivered to me here. I don't have to wake up at 11:50, drive to the Funko Land or the GameStop or the Toys R Us, get in line for that midnight launch. And yes, I understand those midnight launches were absolutely incredible. Great memories. That's the key here. Memories. We're afraid to let go of memories. We think that they're tied to physical objects, and they're really not. Now, I'm not saying that's a good reason to get rid of physical games, and I'm right there with you when it comes to preservation, but there's not much I or anybody else can do. I've gotten to that point years ago where I decided, for me personally, having all of these games, this wall of games behind me, you see YouTubers all the time. They sit behind these walls of games and people think, well, there's a wall of games behind them. They must know what they're talking about. It's simply not true. Having all of those things just wasn't good for me anymore. Didn't make sense for me anymore. If it makes sense for you to have them, great. But I'm almost positive that everybody gets to that point, or will get to that point, where they realize, all of this stuff really doesn't serve me too well. And I understand the idea that you think if you hold on to it, you're somehow helping the industry, or you're keeping the industry from making this huge mistake. And maybe it is a mistake, maybe it isn't, but you cannot fight upstream. The water is flowing towards digital distribution. We're there. People want it. There are more people who purchase digital games now than purchase physical games. I think it's something like 90% or greater of all these sales are digital versus physical. There's not much any of us can do. I'm here to tell you, physical games, they're dead. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Are you happy? Are you sad? What's the pluses? What's the minuses? Because listen, if you're going to give me a bunch of pluses, you can't tell me there aren't just minuses when it comes to digital distribution. There's a lot that is a positive as well. I'd be interested to know what you think about that. I came to this conclusion a long time ago, before it was fashionable, before digital distribution was even a thing, and I do feel that in the future, the idea of a tangible product when it comes to games, almost anything, is just not going to be there. Again, let me know what you think in the comments section below. Thanks for watching this video. Think about liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next one.